Hey, what's up? Kirk of Effectatron, and today I'm going to show you how to create these cool procedural crystals. Like basically you'll be able to make crystals using an emitter and tracers and sweeps as well. And basically we're going to be able to just generate these really cool organic looking crystals and rinse repeat so you can have an infinite amount of them. And it's just a cool thing that you can actually, apply beyond crystals to everything. It's just kind of introducing you to emitters and tracers and things like that, because they're kind of my favorite thing in C4D, if I'm honest. So I'm really looking forward to, when they add liquid, which is coming soon, being able to combine particles, tracers, and liquid all together to make some cool stuff. It should be pretty cool looking. Anyway, let's go ahead and just get started. Real quick, I do want to say that my 90 open PBR Redshift glass material collection is now available on Gumroad, and you can get it in 3 different packs, $20 each, or you can bundle and save for $50, or at the week of launch, there's another 20% discount for that. Look for the code below for that, where you can basically get 3 packs for the price of 2. So yes, check that out. I love making materials, and let me know what you guys want to see next. Okay. So first off, grab an emitter. We're going to start with the basic emitter. I think a spline emitter would be really cool with this to make like a line of crystals. I think that would be really neat. But yeah, you could draw, or an organic shape or whatever you want. Anything like that. But let's go ahead and slide this over so we can see what we're doing here. And with this, I just like to use a circle. I don't know why. I just prefer the circle. And we're going to hit R to rotate this, hold shift, and we're going to point it so it's pointing up. So Z is going up in the air there. Okay, and just to test that out, we'll hit play. And whenever you're doing anything with an emitter or anything, you always have to hit back first and then hit play, because you got to start the simulation over. So you can see we've got all these dots. If you have trouble like seeing those, kind of too small and you wish they were bigger, just go to the particle group tab here, and you can see it just doing that made them a little bigger. But we can come in here and you can change it to arrows or ticks, which is probably the easiest to see. But it's something about that. It makes it look really old school. I don't know what it is. I feel like it was like an old program that had particles that I did. Lines is pretty good, but these are kind of tricky because they're not what it's going to look like. Like they are going to look like dots right now. So what I like to do is just increase the size of my dots to maybe like 3 for now, just so we can see that a little easier, especially for the tutorial. There we go. And so what we want to do is we want to kind of create this organic flow where instead of just constantly emitting, we're going to just do a shot of particles out, but we don't want them to all travel at the same speed, and we want it to create kind of this nice organic looking, and when I say organic, I mean imperfect and random, because that's kind of how nature works. But yeah, so we're going to change that from constant to shot, and so now when we hit play, it's going to go boom. Right, but if we were to draw tracers on that, we're just going to get one solid stack, right? And we don't want that. So let's go ahead and lower this down to like 50. That's fine. And again, you can change the C, which is a really good way to do that. And then for the distribution, like right now, if we look at it from above, let's go ahead and look at it and hit play. It looks like that. Like I wouldn't say that that's uniform. It says it is, but it doesn't look that uniform. But you could choose a noise if you want. And so now you can be like, boom, and you can see it's going to kind of add some variety to just how that is. And again, you can adjust the scale and everything of that, so you could really hone that in, like scale that down, clip it up, and boom, you're going to get some different variants and stuff. And this is going to be more important when you're doing things like on a spline path or something like that, and you don't want it to be like organic, like uniform all the way around the spline. You want to like have a lot more particles on this side versus right here in the middle, rather than when we're doing like the surface from like the volume of the center here. But to showcase this, let's go ahead and crank it up to like 5,000, and maybe we'll see this a little more clear. So there's that. And if we were to increase the scale and clamp it down like so, we should see like a big pocket in here. Yeah. So you can see how you can create these kind of organic clusters inside of there. So that's a really cool new feature that has been built in, which I really like that one. Let's get me thinking about some other ideas. Okay, cool. So I like that, but for now, let's just do that. That's fine, but we'll cut it down to like 50 again, and we'll hit play there. So we have like these little clusters of groups, and maybe we can do like 100. Yeah, because I want it to like look kind of spread out, like you have like some branching kind of effect here, and that should be fine. Cool. And then once again, it's just another variable that we can change to procedurally generate a different outlook or outcome. Okay. And so then what we're going to do is we want to go down to properties. And for the velocity, we're going to twirl this down. And we're going to change the speed variance all the way up to 50. So basically, the speed is set to 100. So they're going to shoot out moving 100 centimeters a second. Or, yeah, a second. And then 50 means that they will be able to have a variance of 50. So some will be moving anywhere between 50 to 100. So go boom. And so now we automatically have like just a much more organic looking shape. You can see some of them are reaching the top by 24 frames and some aren't. Boom. All right, so just kind of nice to kind of break that up naturally. Now we want to just add some movement on here. But before we do that, let's go ahead and add the tracer. Go ahead and select your particle group and we'll go down the cloner, click and hold and go down to tracer. And with the tracer selected, you'll see the trace link is the particle group. If that's not there, simply delete it and then select it or drag and drop that in there. And now what happens if we hit play? Boom. Pretty cool, right? And so like we can drive all these things. I just want to get you thinking, because that's one thing I love. Like if you ever take my tutorials, I kind of try to go beyond the tutorial, which probably annoys some people, but I also just like to get people thinking about stuff beyond the tutorial. So with this density distribution, you could use a field, which means you could drive particle emission with music or an image or something like that. And so I'm going to try that later because I think that'd be really fun. Let me know what you want to see from that in the comments below. Because I think that'd be really cool. It'd be like, boom, boom. Anyway, that's the song I would choose. Boots and pants. Yeah, let's do, so now what we need to do is just kind of add more variation to this. Because right now it's very much just pew. And we want it to be pew, right? So we're going to go to the simulate and we're going to go to forces and we're going to add turbulence. And that's all we have to do. Let's go ahead and increase the strength of that up and the scale of that up. And we can play with that and see what that looks like. Boom. Pretty cool. I think we could probably scale it down a bit, which will make it have a little more wobble in it. Yes. And then the strength can come down a bit too. Play. That's not bad, but I also want it to have like this kind of twist factor to it. So to do that, let's go ahead and do like a force, and then we can do rotation. And with rotation, you want to hit R and rotate it. Hold shift and rotate it like that so that the Z is pointing up like that. When you are in the system coordinates here, make sure that Z is pointing up. And we can increase that to like 100. And so now it's going to go shoom, and get this kind of twist. Now I like it, but that's almost too much. So we're going to lower that down like 85. But I also don't love the way the turbulence is looking. And this is all just kind of like fiddling around and figuring it out. That's not bad. And again, you can just come back in here and maybe it's just like, you know what, let's just change the seed. We'll just click over 1 and see how different that looks. I like that better. Just like that. So what I'm going to do now is inside the particle, inside the basic emitter, we're going to go to properties and I'm going to change it to have a lifetime. And I want that lifetime to be 24 frames because that's about like right here. So we're going to go shoom, and then you're just going to stop. And all that's going to be left is the tracers, which is pretty cool. But maybe we need to do like 28. Let's see. We want it to kind of have a little more life like that. That looks pretty cool. Okay, so overall, we're pretty much there. And so now, if you want to set that up again, you can tweak it, change it, copy, paste it, quick erase it. But yeah, do all that, like just literally change the variables, copy and paste it, turn it off, create another one. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to create a sweep for this. And a sweep is basically like if you take a circle spline and you put it on a line and if you take a spline and wrap it around another spline, you can do that. So we're going to go ahead and create an inside so we can make these like crystals like pentagons or hexagons, just like that. Cool. So we've got that. And we're just going to scale that down to maybe like 15. And this is going to be like the fat crystals. And so this is, I think, what we're going to do. Okay. We're going to start with this being like 10. We'll do 10. Okay, and just to illustrate this, we'll do it the first time, and then we'll probably make some changes. But so we've got this, and the way it works is you click and hold the subdivision surface, and you choose sweep, and whatever shape you put in here first, like at the top. So we'll say the inside is going to be at the top. We want it to wrap around whatever is second in the operation. So we want it to wrap around our tracer. So we're going to make sure the tracer is below, and you can see just like that, we've created geometry, and it kind of looks like crystals. It kind of looks weird with the flat tops, not the haircut, but the actual top is flat. So we're going to go to our sweep here, and we're going to go to caps, Cap America here, and we're going to change it from, you could do round, like if you wanted to make these like tentacles or something kind of, or like coral, anything like that, but we want it to be pointy. So we're going to choose spline. And when we increase spline, we can make it kind of pointy, and we can come to like right, maybe like slightly right below where it comes to a point, like that. All right, so we're like 8.24 for this one. And you can do whatever, just do it visually. And you can see we have like some of these interlapping and stuff. And right now that would look pretty bad if we were just to throw a material on that. So we'll throw on a abstract glass. Actually, let's just type in open PBR. We'll use one of my new abstract glasses from my open PBRs. We'll do a pretty simple, basic one. We'll do like the tropical one. That should be pretty good from my practical glass pack. And we'll throw that on there. And go ahead and just render that real quick. Drag this over here. There we go. And you can see like that looks pretty good. It's not like great. I have like the lowest settings ever on this. Let's go ahead and increase my progressive pass to 128. And the main thing you want to do for your crystals is you want to take this little icon right here, which is the Fong tag, and you want to delete that. And that's going to give you these nice sharp angles on the sides and everything, which is going to make it just look a lot more crystally. And so if you've got my glass pack and you want it to, just look a little more see-through, that's always going to be for mine in the depth. So the higher the depth number, the more see-through it is. So we can go ahead and grab that and say like 20, and you'll see that that's going to make that a lot more see-through. Now, if you want it to kind of look like where it's fatter here in the middle, we want it to be less see-through, you can take your inistropy and crank that up. Or sorry, crank it down. Is that right? No. So that's cool. Let's do like 8. Maybe just 6. Yeah, that's not bad. And we can play around with the inistropy of this as well if we want to. We can crank that up. That'll kind of make the edges a little darker, which I don't think it's what we need for this. We could do the... All right, so that's like kind of cool. I like that, but we could definitely take it a lot further than this. But you can see, so what we want to do now is where all of these like kind of intersect, it looks weird, right? And that's because they're... So this is pretty good, but you can see like where these intersect, it looks weird because they're doing just that. They're intersecting and then rendering out inside of each other. And crystals don't really do that. It's like one mass, right? So how do we take this and turn it into one object? Well, we just simply grab our sweep and turn that into the volume builder. Hold Alt and put that in the volume builder. And it's going to turn into this blob. We take this down to like 1. There we go. We can take a closer look at this. You can kind of see how this is going to work. But already what's happening now is basically all these parts where it was like intersecting into itself, it now just like stops and becomes a solid object. So we're not getting that intersection double image inside of each other. Okay, it's going to make it like, I don't know, turning into a volume is the best way to describe it, I guess. But then we click and hold the volume mesher and hold Alt and do that. And you can see that makes it crazy high poly, which isn't ideal for what we want. But what we can do is we can try to kind of mess with this and add some chunks and stuff in this. If you want to sculpt that in with the sculpt brush, you can right click, change this into a mesh like we're going to do here. Also, you can come in here to the volume builder, and if you want to add like a smoothing thing, you can and dial that in. Just kind of smooth out some of those rough bits if you want. Or you can do like a dilate in a road. And you can make it fatter or thinner, like so. But what I want to do before we get crazy here and do this, what I want to do is I'm going to actually go back to the beginning real quick. And because we built this in a way that it's non-destructive, we can come in here and let's go to the emission and lower that count down to like 40. And what I want to do is I want to take my inside and crank it up to like 15. And we can say play. Boom. And you can see it's going to like draw that in real time. Not real time because it's doing the volume builder, but you can do the splines. But there we go. So we've got kind of this like these big crystals kind of coming up. And to our sweep, we'll adjust the end of that so it's a little pointier. Like so. Cool. And now what I want to do is I actually want to grab my particle group, hold control, my emitter, and I want to hold control on my sweep and pieces as well. We're going to hit Control C, Control V, and make another version of this. And so with this one, what we're going to do, go back to frame 0, go to this emitter, we are going to go down and change it to maybe 60, maybe 120. And then we'll change the seed. So we can just click that up a few times. And we'll go to our inside and we're going to make this small. So like 5. And in our tracer, we want to make sure it's selecting particle group 1, which it is. And then we can literally just, again, put this in a volume builder 1 and then a volume mesher. So if you don't want to have those on, what we can do is we'll see like those sweeps will work in real time. Boom. So you can see they'll draw up like that. So now if we switch this to like shading mode here, I do have a glass material on them, which is making them invisible. There we go. Like that. So now we kind of have this variation between big and little ones. And you could do that as many times as you want. But I think we can maybe make these like a little bigger and you can change these on the fly like that. But I like that kind of variation between those two shapes. I think looks good. The twist is pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with that. So now we have both of those like that, and they're both very high poly. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click the top one, and we're going to go to connect objects. And so now we can toggle all these off and do the same thing with this volume measure. Right click and connect objects, and you can hold Alt and click and drag all the way down here to turn all those off as well. So now we just have our 2 crystals here, the very high poly meshes, and we can still go back and generate more if we want to. But now we don't have to worry about all of the tracers and the volume builder and all that stuff calculating. We can just work with our 2 meshes, which are way too high poly. But we do want both of these meshes to be one mesh together. So we're going to select both of these and then right click and say connect mesh and delete. And so now we have just crystals. So this is our crystal, which I can't spell. Crystal 1. Cool. And it's way too high poly for working with what we want to do. So let's go ahead and fix that. And what we're going to do is we're going to just click and hold here on the subdivision surface and hold Alt and let go on polygon reduction. And you'll see that that's going to calculate down. Right now we have 1,117,000 polygon faces, and we're going to reduce that by 90%. So we'll have less, but probably still too many. We might need to do more. But you can see why like we made 1 million faces very quickly and easily because the volume builder is nuts like that. And obviously there's nothing wrong with that, but when you have a scene and you're going to put a bunch of those in there, you're going to lag it out. Especially in this like wireframe display mode, we'll definitely lag it out. There we go. And you can see that's made that much more crystally and stuff, which is cool. And we can preserve the UV boundaries. We do want to do that. Now it's going to recalculate that real quick. There we go. So we'll take a look at what this looks like that. And we can right click and say connect objects. And again, just hold Alt, toggle this off. So let's grab our glass and toss it on there and take a look at this. And honestly, I think we need to reduce it more. So by default, it reduces it by 90%. And that's pretty good, but I'm going to go crazy here. And I'm going to go 99.8%. And now we should get this really nice kind of geode looking shape, maybe even more. Let's go 99.9. There we go. And with this, we can right click and say connect objects. And what we'll do is we'll turn this off, hold Alt and double click. And so now we have crystal, this will be crystal 1.1. And is put the Phong tag back on it. We definitely don't want that. So delete the Phong tag so it has those sharp angles. Kind of cool, but I think we've reduced it too much. It's not bad, but I feel like it's too low poly now. So let's just delete that real quick. Turn this back on and go back and do like 99.5. Oops. Do like 99.5. Let that calculate that. All right, there's that. So now we can right click that and connect objects, and again, turn it off. And that's exactly why we don't delete them, right? Because now we can make tweaks and adjustments to them rather than having to start all over. Again, with the Phong tag on, looks kind of weird. Phong tag off. Nice and crystally. And I think that looks better. It looks more geode-y. And again, what you can do now that you have a crystal is you could obviously go back, rinse, repeat, and do more there. But we can also just control, skip one and make a copy of it and rotate it and kind of shove it in there like that. You know, you can bring that out to the side like this, or control, bring it in over here. You know, and then slide that in like so. And now we have a completely different crystal. Just like that. And you may be questioning whether the volume builder part is worth it, but I think it is because it connects everything and makes it so things don't intersect. So when we're looking at our glass, like right here where this one would have gone in, we would be seeing it like inside of itself here, but because we did the volume builder where it clips in, it's not rendering inside of itself anymore because it's not there anymore. So I think that is worth it. We don't have like any kind of light setup for this really. But this looks really cool. Let's try glass. Let's do open PBR from my pack and open PBR. And we'll do slime. Pretty blue. That might be cool. Kind of smoky one. I like that one. And then I think I have a slime one that's cool. The vapor one might be cool. Amber here. We'll do here's like a clear one, clear thin one. Cool, smoky thin. I like all my glasses. We could do this like gradient one here. Boom, boom, boom. I think that looks really nice. Let's go ahead and grab our backlight and our target, and just make sure that our target is actually all the way up, kind of in front of our light. And I want that backlight to really punch through. And we'll grab that and crank that up, slide it down. So I really want it to like shine into it, even at that intense. Something like that. And we can of course grab this, copy and paste it, hold control, move it up front. So we have like some front light going on as well. I think I moved it way up in the sky. There we go. Let's do amber light. That's pretty cool. And if you want these to be like more see-through, you can just slide down here in the depth and just increase that. This one's going to be, let's do like 25. There you go. So now we have like a clear inside and a sticker on the outside. That's because of the Nistropy here. But if we wanted to, make it a little darker on the front side rather than the back side, you can increase that up, or you can just leave it at 0. And that's going to make it all kind of more uniform like that. But I think the Nistropy that it had was pretty cool looking. That looks nice. And again, now you can come in and we're not going to turn this into a texturing video. There's our Vaporwave one. If you do have the Vaporwave pack, all you got to do is open this up. And if you want your noise to be bigger, you just need to scale it up. It is set to global. So all we got to do is increase the scale. And we can do like 300. And now we have this kind of cool smoky texture. We can probably do higher, 800. So we get kind of this cool organic-y noise inside of it. And again, with depth, same thing. You can make it more see-through, but it'll still have kind of that cloudiness built in. Maybe 50 was too much. Let's do it 30. 20. So it's just kind of depending on your lighting, you're seeing 16. Yeah, so now we have kind of this cool organic kind of cloudiness inside of our crystal. And if you want to, obviously you could add a bump map on this. I would just go in here and type in imperfections, which I'm going to add an imperfection path. So a lot of these are good, but there's some that I wish were more intense, I guess, really. Yeah, we can do like, I think these are mine. Let's do scratches. I want to make sure I use one that everybody has. Let's do the scratch one. I can drag that in here. Type in speed, type in bump. Map, boom. Go from this to this to this, and make sure it's set to -1 because we want all of our white lines to cut into our crystal. And that goes into the open PBR and then the geometry bump map. And if your open PBR is using as a coat, you're going to want to make sure you add that to the coat layer bump as well. But now you can see with that foggy crystal inside of the bump map on top, looks pretty good. I think the bump's too intense, but yeah, you can just come here, dial it back, -0.4. I like that. Yeah, so now, I mean, I think this would look better if we put our background, made it black, like maybe 0.5% black. Yep. I think that looks really good. I'm happy with that. And so now you can rinse, repeat, and create all the crystals you want. But yeah, my open PBR glass pack is available to download. Check the link below for that. And yeah, that's just a cool way to use emitters and stuff to model with particles. So it's kind of neat, modeling with particles. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.